Hi, in this session we will discuss about replenishment control. So what is replenishment? Basically, replenishment is an act of replenishing the fixed bin from where we usually pick material for the outbound deliveries. So this fixed bin is where we keep the material whenever it comes inside the warehouse. So this is a fixed bin for material, and also we would have a reserve bin for this material. So this reserve bin acts as a reserve stock. So whenever the fixed bin is full, we would stock the material in the reserved bin, and whenever the fixed bin quantity falls below a particular minimum quantity level that is defined for this bin, we will replenish this fixed bin with stock from the reserved bin. So in this session we will understand about replenishment functionality. We will also discuss about how to replenish the fixed bin storage used for picking for outbound deliveries with stock from the reserved storage area. So let us understand in the system what are the prerequisites and what are the customization settings we need to do if we want to use the replenishment functionality. Basically, if we want to use a replenishment functionality, we would have to define the minimum and the maximum quantity of the material in the WM2 view. So once the minimum quantity for this material is defined, the moment this the stock quantity goes below this minimum quantity, a replenishment could be triggered, or this material could be considered for replenishment. Then we need to do some customization settings in order that system understands what is the reserve bin or what is the reserve storage type for this particular material, such that it could pick the material from this particular reserve area and get it to the fixed bin or this material. So let us understand how this is set up. So I have a fixed bin material 3129F, and we will see the details. This is a fixed bin material and the storage type 005. The bin in storage type 005 is the fixed storage bin for this material. So 010103 is a fixed storage bin, and the maximum quantity that could be stored in the bin is 500, and this is the minimum quantity that I was mentioning that needs to be maintained in case we would want to use a replenishment functionality. So for our example, let us keep this minimum quantity as 100. So if the stock falls below 100, the system would consider this material to be replenished from a reserve area. And since we have the maximum quantity as 500, let us give the replenishment quantity as 400 over here. So the summation or the math is, if the quantity of material in this bin falls below 100 or equals 100, then the system is supposed to replenish this bin, and the replenished quantity would be 400. So at any given point in time, this quantity and this quantity together will not exceed the maximum bin quantity. So we are saving this material. Let us have a look at the current stock status. So here I am looking at the current stock status of 3129F. We have 500 quantity in the fixed bin storage, and we have around 500 quantity in 001 high rack storage. So this is the reserve area 010110. This bin, this is a reserved bin for this material which are having 500 quantity now. So this was put here manually because we received 500 over here, and we received an additional 500 which could be accommodated in this fixed bin, so it was put in the high rack. Now in our example, for this material to be considered for replenishment, the the quantity or the stock in this bin should go below 100. So let us try to do that, and then we will run a replenishment cycle. But before doing this, before running the replenishment cycle, let's understand some of the customization. What we need to understand here is that how is the system going to understand from where is the storage reserve storage area, and how would system pick the material from here and put it here when we run the replenishment cycle. So before we actually see the config setting, let us understand in the sequence in which we would be doing the configuration. So the first step is to create a replenishment movement type. If this is already not existing in your system, typically the replenishment movement type would be 320. Then we define the replenishment control for this movement type, and then we set up a storage type search for a reserve storage type using a movement type reference. We have seen this in Material Master, define the minimum bin quantity in WM2 view. So let us understand step by step how to do the customization settings for replenishment control. First, we create a replenishment movement type 320, and then we define replenishment control for this movement type. So here I am in SPRO, Logistics Execution, Warehouse Management, and in activities we define the movement types. So in my system we have the replenishment movement type as 320. We can see that there is no indication of dynamic bin or source or destination, and we have this shipment type as A, stock removal, and requirement type is N, replenishment of fixed bins. So this is movement type 320 for auto fixed bin replenishment. In case you don't have this, then you can create one copying the 319, which is also a similar movement type used for production staging, but most of the times 320 should be available in your system. So we have 320. Once this movement type is defined, we define the stock transfer and replenishment control. So we define replenishment control. We would select the storage type for replenishment. So we have the storage type 005, which is our fixed bin storage type, and we are considering the movement type that we created, or the replenishment movement type, to be linked to the storage type 005, which is a fixed bin storage type. So this is the second step that we were discussing of define replenishment control for this movement type. Now we need to set up storage type search for reserve storage type using movement type reference. Coming back to storage type search, we are in strategies and activate storage type search. We need to determine the search sequence. What we need to do here is that we should be able to tell the system that for the storage type indicator 005, which is the pick indicator, stock removal indicator for the material 3129F, it should look in storage type 001, which is a reserve storage type. So what we do here is that we create a movement type reference first for our movement 320 that we have just created for or selected for fixed bin, replenishment. And for this movement type, we create a reference storage type search indicator 1. So now whenever the transfer order has a movement type 320, it would look for the specific search sequence that we have maintained with reference to this reference storage type search. So let us see here in warehouse S01 what is the sequence maintained for 005. So A is stock removal, and in the normal course the stock would be removed from 005, which is a fixed bin. We have defined the reference storage type search 1, and for this stock removal indicator, if the movement is 320 in the transfer order, this system would look for the reference storage type search indicator 1, and in this combination, if it finds this combination, it would look in the storage type 001, which is our reserve storage type. So we are cleverly using the reference storage type search to direct or divert the search from the normal storage type to the reserve storage type for the material with stock removal indicator 005. Now, as we already have stock in 005, I will remove the stock for an outbound delivery so that the system should start considering this for a replenishment, and then we will run a replenishment cycle. So I would typically remove the stock and make it less than 100. So I'm just creating a delivery to remove the stock 500 quantity from storage type 005. This is just information so that you are aware of how I have removed the stock. So a transfer order has been created. We need to confirm this transfer order. So we are removing the stock from the fixed bin, total quantity 500. Now this bin will become empty and will be available or will be considered for a replenishment. I confirm this. So the transfer order is confirmed, and let us see the stock status. I refresh, and now we have stock only in the high rack storage, which is the reserve storage area, and there is no stock in the fixed bin in the storage type 005. Now we will run a replenishment cycle manually, but typically in organizations wherein there are lots and lots of deliveries happening, the replenishment typically is done with a batch job. So to run a replenishment, the transaction code is LP21, and I want to run it in storage type 005 and material 3129F. I've given all the details, and the requirement number is N, and we are telling the system that search everywhere possible by giving a star star star. I execute. Now the system has come up with the data, and this requested quantity is the replenishment quantity. The available stock is 0 in the fixed bin of this material, and this is the fixed bin of this material. So you can choose the requested quantity, you can maintain the replenishment quantity based on your requirements, and in this particular screen I'm just going to save this. With saving this, it is going to create a transfer requirement, which is a picking request for the requested amounts. So basically the important thing here is that we maintain the search sequence for the replenishment storage type search. So let us try to process the transfer requirement. The transaction is LB10. You'll find the transfer requirement with the movement type 320. I'm picking the open, and here is a transfer requirement that is created with movement type 320. So with this movement type 320, the system is going to look in the storage type 001. Let us try to figure out how this search is happening. So the system has gone into storage type 001 based on our customization settings. I go for stock removal in the foreground. and you can see that the system has picked from the reserve storage bin, and it is getting the stock in the fixed bin in 005. Let us create this transfer order, and to finally put this transfer order in the bin, we need to confirm this transfer order. So we are picking up target quantity 400 from the reserve storage bin, and this transfer order is confirmed. Let us have a look at this. So I will refresh this stocks now. Now you can once again see that the fixed bin is replenished from the stock from the reserve storage area. So this is how a replenishment cycle is carried out, and replenishment is one of the important functionalities to replenish stock. If you want to replenish stock manually, you can also use transaction LT01, but that is called bin to bin stock transfer. But technically correct replenishment is done using the customization settings that I just discussed right now, and we use a transaction LP21. So we have just seen how the customization is done and how the replenishment is carried out. Most of the times the replenishment would be done with a batch job, but it is important to know and understand the replenishment control, because ultimately we would need to do these customization settings in order that the auto program also runs successfully or correctly.